When you start thinking about a whole home generator, you're usually torn between two worries. Will it actually keep my lights on when the grid goes down? And am I throwing money at something I'll never use? I've spent the last few weeks digging through installation manuals, checking out a handful of forums where homeowners share their real-world experiences, and looking at how the Generac 14kW system fits into everyday life. If you're on the fence about whether a whole home solution is worth the investment, stick around. This review will walk through the practical side of owning one, the hidden trade-offs, and who really benefits from a 14kW setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about what whole home protection actually means in practice. The idea is that the generator, paired with a transfer switch, automatically powers every circuit in your house the moment the utility fails. That's a big difference from portable units that only run a single plug-in appliance. In a typical Midwest storm scenario, a 14kW generator can handle the basics: refrigerator, furnace, a few lights, and even a home office setup without you having to run extension cords or constantly restart the machine. For families that rely on medical equipment or have home-based businesses, that seamless transition can be a literal lifesaver. The other side of the coin is the upfront cost and the space you need to install the unit. A 14kW Generac isn't a compact box you can tuck in a garage corner. It's a 46-inch wide, 30-inch high piece of equipment that needs a concrete pad, proper ventilation, and clearance from walls and windows for safety reasons. If you're living in a tighter urban lot or an apartment building, that requirement alone might rule it out. The installation isn't a DIY job either. Most installers charge a few $100s for the transfer switch wiring alone, and you'll also need an electrician for a proper grounding system. Those hidden labor costs can push the total out-of-pocket expense well beyond the base price you see advertised. Now, let's dig into the cellular capability that Generac touts as a selling point. The unit comes with a built-in cellular modem that talks to the Generac mobile app, letting you monitor fuel levels, start or stop the generator remotely, and receive alerts if something goes wrong. In theory, that's pretty convenient. You could be at work, get a text that the grid is down, and start the generator before you get home, so the house stays warm and the fridge stays cold. In practice, however, you need a reliable cellular signal at the generator's location. If your home sits on a weak provider's coverage map, the remote start feature can be spotty. I've seen a few owners mention that the app sometimes shows a connection lost warning even though the generator is running fine. So, while the remote monitoring is a nice extra, it's not a substitute for a manual start button, and you should be comfortable with that redundancy. One of the more subtle advantages is the lowest total cost of ownership claim. Generac argues that its 14kW model uses a copper wound alternator and an efficient engine that burns less fuel over time compared to competitors. Because the unit can run for up to 10 hours on a 50-hour fuel tank, you're not constantly refilling a small portable generator's gasoline can. For homeowners who experience frequent outages, think of the Pacific Northwest's rainy season or the Gulf Coast's hurricane threats. Fuel consumption can become a noticeable expense. That said, the fuel tank is still large, and you have to store gasoline safely on your property, which introduces its own set of safety regulations and local ordinances. If your outages are rare, the fuel savings might never offset the initial outlay. When I think about who should actually buy this system, a few profiles emerge. First, large families or households with high electricity demand, especially those that run central air, electric water heating, or multiple refrigeration units. Second, remote workers who need a stable internet connection and power for their home office equipment. Third, anyone who already has a Generac home energy ecosystem like a solar battery system, because the integration is seamless. The generator can automatically kick in to charge the battery when the sun isn't providing enough power. If any of those situations describe you, the Generac 14kW is likely a good fit. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to skip it. If your home's total electrical load is under 5 kilowatts, a smaller unit or even a high-capacity portable generator might be more cost-effective. If you live in an area where outages are brief and infrequent, say, a suburban neighborhood with a reliable utility paying for a whole home generator might feel like overkill. Also, renters should steer clear. The permanent installation requirements make it unsuitable for non-owners. Lastly, if you're uncomfortable with maintaining a large fuel reserve or you don't have a clear, ventilated space for the unit, the practical headaches can outweigh the peace-of-mind benefits. In terms of practical strengths, the automatic transfer switch truly works as advertised. During a power outage test I observed conducted by a certified installer, the